that, there's been no independent scientific verification of over 800 kilograms of moon rocks that they brought back from the moon.
You got served.
What up, son? Moon rocks? Sweet, you gonna come at me with some moon rock? I didn't look into this.
Joe Rogan, I am.
Stop, bitch!
I am forced by the CBS Corporation to play a song. Stay here, please, if you would.
How dare they?
Absolutely.
Is it a good Boston song? Because I'm back in Boston.
That's
I want
right.
to hear something good.
Well, then you'll
Or
have
is
to
it?
go somewhere else. Joe Rogan is going to be at the Wilbur Theater tomorrow night at 10. It's Touch Your Inch on WPC on 104.1. All right, we got Joe Rogan in with us. He's going to be at the Wilbur Theater tomorrow night at 10 o'clock, 246 Tremont Street in the Theater District. He's a fascinating guest, 617-931-2000. You should hear Adolfo break down things with him. It's amazing. You can also go to thewilburtheater.com. Joe Rogan also with 2 cellular phones, a sign of great importance. Now, Joe, you are...
That's a sign. That's a sign that I don't trust everybody. One phone that I could drop in the Charles River and go, oops, I guess it's gone.
That's actually a good
I
idea.
lose all those people.
Yeah.
And my other phone is where I get my email. It's important.
All right, now, you do stuff with Ultimate Fighting, obviously. Are you familiar with the show Tap Out?
Sure. Yeah, I know those guys.
Those guys were in here. What's it like? What is the deal with the guys from Tap Out?
Well, you met them. That's the deal.
Right. There's one guy who's like crazy army face
this is
guy.
the deal. You are talking about them right now.
Right.
You know why you're talking about them? Because they're out of control. If they're like regular dudes who had a T-shirt company and they had, hey, we have T-shirts. Do you like our T-shirts? You wouldn't be talking.
They were
about
nice.
But they're wearing makeup and wigs, and so you talk about them, and it's a smart move.
Right. No, it absolutely is. I just wondered what the thing was. There's
That's
like,
the thing.
There's one guy who's very sullen, and then there's one guy who's like army face guy. And then there's the guy with the hair, but that's not a wig anymore, is it? I think he's actually grown his hair.
No.
It is a wig.
No, it's a wig. Yeah.
I've been bamboozled.
That's skyscrape mask and punk ass.
Punk ass.
I only know 2 of their real names, Dan and Charles. I've known these guys for years. They actually they actually pay me to wear their T-shirts. I wear their T-shirts at all the UFC weigh-ins. Have you seen?
Oh, that's the best gig.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy gig.
Where-
T-shirt.
Now, did you know this Evan Tanner guy? Who?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I read your blog about him.
Yeah.
Fascinating dude.
He
Now,
was
Evan-
the guy
yeah,
who
go.
went, apparently said he was going to go hunting for treasure out in the desert. That's what
Yeah.
everyone's saying now.
Yeah.
And
Well,
they
not
found,
necessarily money. Like he's a real weird dude who was really into adventure, and by hunting treasure, he didn't mean anything even material. He was just looking for lessons in life, and he used to like solitude, and he was just a strange guy. And
Now, was he always like that, or was it?
oh, he's always been like that. He learned how to fight from videos.
That's
Learned
amazing.
from videos and
Yeah.
from books, and then went into the octagon. I mean, that's how crazy that dude was. He wasn't training at a gym with professional trainers. Like, guys who've trained with him say that he was really awkward to fight because he did, like, everything wrong. Because he learned by himself. He's, like, looking at books, like, and then, I mean, he was an animal.
And so
you know?
he had no fighting experience before that. He wasn't a collegiate wrestler.
Fighting experience. Well, he did some wrestling in high school. He wrestled, but as far as like striking and submissions, all of that self-taught. All of it was from books. And he went on to become the UFC middleweight champion.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Fascinating character. In the last 2 years before he started fighting again earlier this year, he just drank for 2 years. Just drank and documented it all on his website. You know, he talked about it. He showed his pictures of his body, where his body had deteriorated to like this fleshy mess, and then he decided to make a comeback and showed like the before and after. He got all ripped and everything, and built his muscles back up and got back. He jumped back in at the highest level of the game too, which was a mistake. He fought Yushin Okami in his first fight back, and he got knocked out. And then he fought Kendall Grove, who's another top fighter for the UFC, and he lost a decision to Kendall. And then he was retiring. He was having some physical problems, probably because of the fact that he'd been drinking for 2 years straight.
Just every day?
Yeah. Well, yeah, apparently he was like a serious alcoholic.
Now, do you ever see any of these guys, because of the hits they take, their personality will change almost drastically?
Well, it does change over the years. That's a serious issue. And a lot of fighters, they don't – first of all, fighters, a lot of them don't have backup plans, and that's a dangerous thing. And they don't have good counsel because, a trainer very rarely does a trainer tell you, hey, man, we have to think about plan B.
Yeah.
You're 35 years old and you've been knocked out 3 times. Like, let's figure out what we're going to do next. They just go, listen, you got to keep your hands up. Let's get back in the gym. Let's get in shape.
Yeah.
You weren't yourself in that last fight. We need to – there needs to be, but it's hard to say who's going to do this. There needs to be some sort of an independent, objective person to step in and tell a fighter, fighting is a very dangerous thing. The sport is you have a finite amount of knockouts that you can take, a finite amount of hits to the head you can take, and those are precious, man. There's like, if you're playing poker, you got a certain amount of chips. You got to be cognizant of that. You got to really recognize there's only a certain amount of times that you can go to that well.
Yeah.
That's why jiu-jitsu fighters, in my opinion, that's the smartest way to fight. Just stop all this nonsense of throwing bones at each other and just grab a hold of that guy, take him to the ground, strangle him. That's the safest way to fight.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
That's not safe.
What do you specialize in personally? What do you have black belts
I
in?
started out in Taekwondo. I started out here in Boston at J. Kim Taekwondo Institute, and it's still here in Boston. It's been here for forever, and that's where. Taekwondo, it's not the best martial art for ultimate fighting, but it's a great martial art for developing your human potential and your character, and then just discipline and understand. It's like whenever you do anything really hard, whether it's learning how to be a great player of chess, or whether it's learning how to be a brain surgeon, anything incredibly difficult, in that pursuit you find out a lot about yourself. And physically, there's something about fighting, about the emotional drama behind it, the fear of, your own physical body getting injured.
You had a great point, and I don't remember if I read it or you said it on the air, which I thought was excellent, especially for a man, is that once you have confidence in yourself physically, like that you could handle yourself in a physical situation, it allows you so much more freedom in terms of intellectually, even
freedom to say things that you really want to say.
Right,
right. You don't have to worry about physical repercussions. You don't have to worry about being intimidated.
Right.
And it also allows you to understand why people behave a certain way, like why people are so aggressive, and most of it is they're intimidated. Most of it is they're insecure. That's most douchebags. They're just pussies.
Right.
That's really what they are.
Well, so
they just want to be the first loud guy so that everybody backs off of the loud guy. If you're not prepared for the loud guy, and you're in the bar and some guy's yelling and drunk, and you're looking at this guy like, oh, I got to get away from that guy. That guy's dangerous. And then he feels everybody back away, and that gives douchebags a sense of power.
Yeah. So that gives you the power and the confidence to be able to walk on stage and call Carlos Mencia out in the middle of a set.
Well, I want to get to that in a little bit, but Fred, you're on with Joe Rogan. You actually have a positive story in your experience with Joe Rogan. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Hey, Joe, my friend Rob, my little buddy, he's got no arms and no legs. You remember him?
Yeah, the dude from Austin.
Yeah, he's from Texas.
That guy drove us around, man, with no arms and no legs.
That's not
we
safe.
went to a strip club with that dude.
Was he using broomsticks? Or?
No, with his stubs, bro.
No, he's got a car that he can drive. He drives.
Yeah.
He used to live up there in Boston. He's friends with my wife, Sandy.
Now, how was it just a dude with no arms and no legs?
Came to a show. Yeah, came to a show in Austin, Texas, and we want to hang out with the dude.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll have Joe Rogan.
That's his whole story.
That's his whole story. Is that you smoked with a guy with no arms and no legs? He said.
He was a cool guy, man. And you meet a guy like that, just and he was a friendly, happy guy, and whatever BS you got in your life, you can't pay your phone bill or whatever. You see that guy and you go, whoa. That's perspective right there. He's a happy guy with no arms and no legs,
All right. Well, listen, I want to talk to you about something that we did. We got Metallica tickets to give away. I was supposed to give them away at 5:15, but I will do it as soon as this interview's over. We'll take a break and come back with more Joe Rogan. We got Joe Rogan in studio tomorrow night at 10 o'clock at the Wilbur Theater, 246 Tremont Street in the Theater District. For tickets, you can call 617-931-2000 or go to the WilburTheater.com. Now, Joe, we got the most press we've ever gotten on this show nationally. We've only been around for a little over 2 years. Is that one show we get stuff from comedians all the time, and there was this one guy that specialized in doing corporate gigs, and his whole act was, my wife's smarter than me, and look at guys are dumb, and right. And so
does that hurt?
Very according to Jim.
So we started talking about things.
According to Jim, that's perfect.
No, yeah, it's like
that's one of those things where you watch that show and you go, what is wrong with the world?
Right, everyone's retarded. Look at my wife's the brains.
Honey, do list.
All right, honey.
Yeah,
I just want to play golf.
And so and so we were sitting around, and so we were talking on the air, and we were like, wait, wouldn't it be funny? We were talking about crappy comedians. We go, wouldn't it be funny wouldn't it just be interesting if we did a bracket of 16 comedians, like March Madness style, and did a bracket of the worst comedians and had the listeners vote?
I read about that.
Yeah, Dane
Yeah.
Cook won, and
Of course he won.
Right, 'cause
he's
he's from-
successful. And
Right,
he's from
right,
Boston,
right.
and
Well, I
everybody-
mean, it was
people
the-
in Boston love to hate.
That's right, Boston's
pushy,
own.
that queer. Get him out of here.
but the Final Four was Paul Reiser, who I contest is the worst comedian
That's
of all
death.
time.
That's death.
Paul
man.
Reiser did a joke that we always play about the softness of melons, and that you don't have to remind yourself not to buy a soft melon because you wouldn't
'Cause
enjoy
you won't
it.
enjoy it.
Well, you know what? He's one of those guys that, like Wayne Cotter's another example of that. There's a bunch of guys who like would say things in like a comedic rhythm, and they would talk with like that comedy style of the '80s. But you'd hear people laugh, and you'd go, "What is going on?" Like
You're laughing
is
at
this
it
a different
It's
frequency?
because he
Pavlov.
talks like this. Hey,
Yeah.
hey,
It's
no.
like Pavlovian response
But
to it.
some
It's like-
people